Okay, so maybe you've done grade 7 math, maybe you've done grade 8 math, and it's been fine. Maybe you've been working with fractions, decimals, percentages, irrational and rational numbers, and you're sitting in your math class and you're looking at your teacher. They show you this. They show you y equals mx plus b. And this might be new and confusing. Maybe it's the first time you've ever seen a mathematical expression here with all letters, a y, an m, an x, and a b. I remember when I was going through this, I really didn't know what was going on. I was very confused because there were letters all over the place. Why are letters now in math? What's going on? It's the equation of a line. We're going to look at some lines and we're going to see that this equation is an equation that represents lines. And then we're going to talk about one of these letters here, that B. We're going to talk about that B. That's called the y-intercept. So let's just get going here. Okay, so let's see if this works. Yes, okay. So I have a red line there. I'm going to draw some lines on this graph. So that's easy. You've done graphing. It's fine. It's fun. You get a ruler, you draw it, it's great. Then I've got another one. I've got a blue line here. And then I've got a green line here, and maybe I've got a yellow line here. Okay, what do you notice about all these lines? Did you say that they're straight? Because if you said that, or if you were thinking that, then you're right. These lines are all straight. So these are all straight lines. And you'll also notice another thing. None of the lines go through this area. You never see a line going through this, which would be 0, 0. If we are plotting the point there, 0, 0, when x is 0 and y is 0, we don't have a line doing that. And I'll just say we're not doing that line today. We're not doing that line today. We're not doing that line. We're only doing lines that go through here, this y-axis thing. And what we're going to do is we are going to make some points on these lines. So we have 4 lines. We're going to make 4 points on these lines. Let's see. Okay, and then we're just going to label those points. So I'm going to do this one here. I'm going to do a point here. Okay, what would this be? So if you've been doing well with graphing, you know that you have to label your x and your y when you are plotting a point. So what's this going to be? This is going to be 2 and 3, right? Because x is 2 in that point and y is 3. I think that makes sense. 2 and 3. Okay, let's move on. Let's do green. Okay, green, we're going to find a point. I don't want to use one of these that's kind of like in between. I want to try to get it right on the kind of intersection of these blue grid lines.
This is going to be impossible.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this one here. This one's very interesting. Very interesting. What is my x here? My x is actually 0 and my y is 4. So I'm plotting that point, 0 and 4. This should all be clear. Okay, let's go on. Ooh, can I get, wow, this one again kind of falls right on that intersection there on this y-axis. So that's fine. I'll say x is 0, y is 2. I think that works. And then last one is yellow. We're going to do yellow here. Yellow we can do up there. Okay. So yellow, or I guess you could call this mustard. Okay, mustard color. There we go. X is going to be 1, y is going to be 6. X is 1, y is 6. Okay, there we go. We have just plotted these points. This is very, very easy. So we have red, blue, yellow, and green, and I'm going to put all of those points here again. So 2 and 3 was that one. What we're going to do now is we're going to use that equation of a line, y equals mx plus b, and we're going to plug in these numbers. Okay, so plug in x and y values. So the good thing about this equation is it's very simple because you can actually take your y value for 1 point on a line, you can plug it in. And what we can do here is we can have our 2, 3. Okay, so what we're saying is, remember, this is going to be x and this is going to be y. What we're saying is when x is 2, y is equal to 3. So I'm going to put 2 here and then 3 here. So this is very useful because maybe you don't have y and you want to find y. You can find y if you have x and these other things here, that m and that b. Okay, next, and one thing I'll say here, this also confused me when I was getting into high school. These two letters are together, M and X. They're together. They're just stuck together. That just means you're multiplying those two numbers. M is going to represent some number later on that we'll find, and it's going to be multiplied by 2, and then we're going to add B to it. Okay, blue is 0, 2. So 0 for x, 2 for y. So I'm just plugging in all these things. So 3 equals something times 2 plus b. So what we're saying here is we're saying when you look at that line, when you have x is 2, y is going to be 3. You can clearly see that on the line. But sometimes you might try to find, the y value of something here. And maybe that's like 2.6. Maybe x is 2.6 and you want to find out what y is. Now, of course, you could go back to the graph and you could kind of look and you could go across and you could say, maybe it's like 3.6. So when x is 2.6, y is 3.6. That's fine. You can do that for a certain amount of things, but eventually it gets too complicated to do that, and that's when you have to start using the equation y equals mx plus b. And what you basically have to do is you have to make sure that you have these other letters, that you know what they are, and then you can use that to find your y value. Okay, so one thing that's very important is to find the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? Y-intercept is b in this equation. So b represents the y-intercept of a line. B represents the y-intercept of a line. So all we're doing here in this video is we're saying we have a line, we have a point on that line, we can take the values from that point, we can plug it into this equation, and that's it. Let's go back. The y-intercept is the point where x is 0 and y is intercepting this y-axis here, this guy here, when it's crossing through. When it's crossing through that y-axis, that's what we call the y-intercept. So x just has to be 0. Okay, so we're going to go through each line, and I drew each line so that it has a pretty easy to see y-intercept. Okay, so the red one, where does the red line intercept through that y-axis? Where does it cut through it? It cuts through it when x is 0 and y is 1. So we're going to write that in. X is 0, y is 1. Okay, Let's do the blue line. Blue line is already done. Look at that. X is 0, y is 2. So what is the y-intercept for the blue line? 2. What is the y-intercept for the red line? It's 1. And let's see. Okay, this one's also done. Actually, 2 of them are done here. So if we look at the green line and the yellow line, they're both the same y-intercept. So I'll actually put in 0 and 4 there. Okay, so what am I showing you? I'm showing you that the green line intercepts, cuts through the y-axis at x is 0, y is 4, and the yellow line, the mustard line, does the same thing. It cuts through at x is 0, y is 4. So that's it. What is the y-intercept for all these lines? Well, we're going to put that in here. The red line. We have B. What is B? What is our y-intercept? Our y-intercept for the red line is 1. Okay, so I'm going to fix that plus there. Oops. I'll just erase it. Okay. 1. I'll do a 1 like that. Okay. 3 equals m, some number, times 2 plus 1. So that red line, that is the equation of that red line. Let's go to blue. Blue, we can see that the y-intercept is at 2. So we put in that 2. So we have, this is interesting, we have that, we have our point, and our point just coincidentally happens to be the actual point of the y-intercept. So 2 equals, and I'm just going to throw in m here, just going to put some brackets around it, m times 0 plus 2. Interesting.
Whatever's going on here, stop it immediately.
Next, we have the yellow line. Okay, so let's see. Okay, that's our point there, 1 and 6, and our y-intercept is 0 and 4. And sorry for the phone ringing. My dad has a landline phone, which I didn't think even existed anymore. So yellow, 0 and 4 is our y-intercept. So I'm going to put m here again. I'm going to fix this one, make it look better. And what is y? What is our y-intercept? It's at 4. Is that correct? Yes, it hits through the y-axis when y is 4. Okay, very good. And last one here, we have green. Okay, there we go. That's our point, and it's also our y-intercept, 0 and 4. So y is equal to 4. M we're not going to worry about right now. I'm just putting some brackets around it. That's fine. And then 4. So there we go. We have just put in the y-intercept for all these lines. So your x and your y values for a line, they can change because you can have different points. Your m number, whatever that is, whatever we're going to figure out later, that will always stay the same, and the b will always stay the same. The y-intercept, b represents y-intercept, that will always stay the same. Your line's not moving, it's staying on that graph, and it's always going through that y-axis